Deputy Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. And actually, something I should have put on the record, but I completely forgot. My brother sold advertising for the Irish Times from the London office. I'm not going to comment on that, but it was, I think, perhaps around 2002, 2003. But I've completely forgotten about it. My question.
70 million did you bring in?
My question relates to your response, Ms. Kennedy, to Senator Darcy when he was asking questions about contacts you had received, and you talked about someone contacting you about an ad, and it was in relation to the movement of an ad or the placement of an ad. I wasn't quite.
It would be very unusual for you to be contacted about an ad, but I'm telling you that within the Irish Times, if what might be deemed a distasteful ad or a garish ad or something like that came up, the advertising people, the advertising manager or his deputy would come and say, look, I have this going in tomorrow, is it okay? And on a few occasions you would say no. The other thing they'd be looking for is the shape of ads, right, where they might want the ad to be like that, so that the ad was the feature in the page and the editorial was just dressing it, whereas I would always insist it should be the other way around. That it is a newspaper and the ads go around the stories. So I was contacted by Dennis O'Brien because he had put in an ad which was pulled by me from the paper. So he must have been told that the editor had pulled it. So the next time then when he went to put in an ad, he wrote directly to me and said to me, well, you're going to be making the decision anyway. So that was the reason for that particular one. And
why did you pull the ad?
What?
Why did you pull the ad in the first instance?
I pulled the ad because it was that chocolate box ad, chocolates ad about the Mahon Tribunal. I pulled it only on...
Has the ad anything to do with the topic of this inquiry, such as the bank crisis property?
Sorry, yes.
The witness mentioned it, so I was interested because it's about the placement of advertising.
I pulled it on that occasion because we were in the Irish Times that ads are ads, editorial, and in respect of ads, it must be clear to the reader who has put in the ad, whose ad it is, right? And there was no attribution on this.
And I think you also said in your earlier remarks that the Irish Times does not do advertorials.
Yes.
Why not?
Because they confuse readers. As to what is editorial and what is an ad.
If we look at the property supplement of a newspaper, another newspaper was in front of us, and they said that their property supplement was a commercial vehicle by which to sell advertising, which made up 65% of the supplement. Can the same be said for the Irish Times property supplement? Is it a commercial vehicle to sell advertising?
It sells advertising, but its editorial is under the control of the editor. And as a general rule, the mix would be different. In other words, the balance of content to advertising would be different also.
Do you think a person reading the property supplement could make that distinction between editorial and advertorial when there's a paid-for ad on the back page for a property under sale and a front page glowing description of that same property and its unique features and why it's worth the value that it's worth?
Well, generally, if it's there, on the front page, it's because the property is exceptional in some way or of particular interest in some way. I would hope, Deputy, that they can make the distinction, yes. And I sincerely hope that they would also make the distinction between the quality of content in that area in the Irish Times and elsewhere, because I think there is a considerable difference.
Content versus content
other
elsewhere?
Publications. Similar content in other publications, yes.
So you think similar content in other publications verges towards advertorial?
I think they're perfectly comfortable with that. I mean, it's to do with the policy of our newspaper. In our case, that content is very firmly under editorial control. And again, I would say to you, we would regard that as an asset.
And the placement of a particular property.
This is your very, very last question, Deputy.
No relationship to the fact that advertisement has been bought in that same supplement.
Well, it's a story. Do you understand?
But is it news?
If so, what?
Is it news?
Yes. Wasn't it news on the front page that Bertie Ahern was selling St. Luke's there a couple of weeks ago?
That's different because of the political connotations with that particular property.
But there are another ones then. For the people, the guys who had all these houses on Shrewsbury Road, should people gloat over that and love reading about
Ms. Kennedy, it's not news that a particular property might have a lovely view of Dalkey Bay. That is not news.
No, but it is if it's owned by Bono, isn't it? Or Bono, whatever you call it.
Thank you too.
But not every...
It's what we're really looking for here as well.
Forgive me, but not every house being sold
I know that.
Not every house being sold is being sold by a celebrity. I mean,
This line of questioning is
Okay.
going to bring to an end. I'm going to wrap things up